What's up, tubers? Hope you guys are having a great weekend getting ready for the Super Bowl. Let's go ahead and finish off Lake Arrowhead tonight. We're going to go through and use the Navionics boating app tonight to look at all the different offshore hotspots that we marked on this lake. Remember, we actually had a lot of these that were showing up on the Google Earth side when we were breaking it down because we were able to draw the lake down so far. So some of these are completely verified. We know there's rock there. We know there's stuff there. Other ones are verified by the contours. Anyways, it's all kinds of good stuff. Let's go ahead and jump into it and see what we found. Here we are using the Navionics boating app. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to talk about all the offshore spots that we talked about recently on the Google Earth video. If you didn't see that, I'm sure just go back, click on the link up top. That'll take you back there, or you can go out to our lake breakdown playlist, but it'll show you all those spots we found with Google Earth. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at it from a contour perspective and talk about those offshore hotspots that were out there. So what we're going to do is start up here at the dam like we always do. Usually we start at the bottom at the dam and work our way up. This time we're working our way down, so it's a little bit different, but we've got the dam up here. Here you can see the main river channel. That's going to be your first offshore spot, is just right out here. You can see it's pretty deep, but a really good little bend, almost a little underwater point that's right there as well. So just a really good spot to look at. And, knowing how far this lake comes down, like I know this spot right over here that we're going to look at right here, that was actually exposed when we looked at it on Google Earth, which was really interesting because typically you don't see those exposed spots like that. With Google Earth, the water doesn't come down that far. So anyways, some of these spots are going to look familiar to you for what we saw on Google Earth, but should hopefully kind of put all this back together for you. All right, so obviously this spot right in here, you've got this nice big flat that's up here. So this is a great feeding flat for them to go up and feed on. And then you've got the edges of these things that have some really good contours right here. I would even come up in here as well where this little bend is right here. That looks kind of juicy. And then there's another one right out here. If you look out, you can't really tell because that, there, make that move. You can tell where the end of that point is now. So this is the end of the point right here. And so you'd be fishing just right off the edge of that, the end of that point. Now, as I said before in many of my videos, I can't mark every single offshore hotspots. There's going to be some spots in here that you're going to want to, you're going to want to just explore yourself. But as we get back in here, here's where all those brush piles were. I had some offshore stuff in here, but really, I think I would say just probably not pass on it, but just be aware you got these offshore things in here. You got these brush piles as well. So good offshore spot here. Here's all those different brush piles out there. You've got another spot back in here, though. If you come back here, you can see it curls in really good right here. And that looks like it could be pretty decent, set back here and just kind of cast into that little area right in there. See if you can find anything there. And then obviously this little point over here, that looks juicy juice. Look how sharp that little cut is right there. In fact, that you got these creek beds out here too. All of that makes that look like a very good area to go take a look at. Now, I don't know from an offshore standpoint. Yeah, we got two spots back here. Say from an offshore standpoint, it's too much what we have back here. But on this spot right here, this is where that pond dam is. And we talked about this actually on Google Earth. We could see it. So we talked about this one. And in fact, I think we saw this as well. We could see the point coming out. And we could see where that break was. That break is right by that creek bed, which makes that a very good high percentage area to go look at. So let's keep moving up. Now, as we come up, when I was saying earlier, scan around some things. There's going to be a couple spots in here that I'd probably at least go take a look at, like right in here where it gets really steep, right out in here too, because you've got that creek bed that's just really close to you. So there could be stuff out here that we're missing from a mapping standpoint. We just can't see it, that you may want to take a look at. Also, if I scan over here a little bit and I zoom in, see if you notice it. I don't give it away right away, but see if you notice anything just on this picture that stands out to you that where it could be potential. And I'll give you like just a couple seconds to kind of scan around and figure it out. And hopefully you pick the same thing that I would have picked. And if not, I'd like to know what you picked. Let me know what you picked, because maybe there's something on here that I'm overlooking. But the main thing that I see right here that looks like it could be pretty juicy is going to be right in here. You have this little bitty flat top. It's not perfectly flat, still got some contours, but very gradual. So pretty good flat top here with very good breaks off this side of it. So this to me would be the spot. If I'm just looking right here, just at this map, that would be the spot that I would focus on the most. Now I might actually travel out here too, where the actual icon is, and fish in that creek channel for sure, in that river channel, because that's going to be really good. All right, let's zoom this back out, make sure I don't miss anything out here, because this lake has tons and tons of, well, it's got a major creek channel that runs right through it. So it's got tons of creek channel bends, all that good stuff. I mean, all that fun stuff to fish around, the stuff where you get some really active fish. This lake's got a ton of it. So right out here in the creek channels, I've got these marked for you. These are some old foundations. There's also a brush pile out here. Now, the other thing too is taking a look while you're out here fishing this channel is to come up here and look around this point too. This point looks pretty interesting as well. Just scan around it, make a couple passes, and just see if you see any life out there. The other thing that I wanted to point out here is, although we have the marker on more of the bend, if you notice right here, this little tiny blue dot, that is very possibly a hard spot out there. And it's comes up just, I think it comes up about 3 feet, right? So we're at 25 feet right here. And the whole thing, out to this size 28. So it's only coming up about 3 feet, but something's, to me, in my mind, something's pushing that up. And sometimes you can find these little tiny humps. I mean, this is not going to be very big at all, but that could just be a really good place. It's fairly close to that whole creek channel bed. Very close to the creek channel, somewhat close to that point, kind of a middle in between the two of them. It could be somewhere where they may accumulate. I didn't mark it. I'm not going to mark it, but just be aware that it's out there. And if you're out there fishing, I'd go take a look at it. Let's back up so you can see where I was at. That's the dam. All I did was just come out of that first cove, come straight over, and it's right off the edge of that point. All right, so we're going to keep moving down. Again, another good spot right here, big, nice creek channel bend. The other thing you may want to check too is right where this creek bed comes in to the river, is checking right in here too and just see if you can find anything there. And then if we look over here to the left, just got a couple spots over here on the left side. Most of our stuff's going to be in that creek channel, but right here you can tell you got a little bit of a hump here. You've got a creek bed swinging across the front of it with some really good drops. So that's going to be a great area to go look at. Let's go out here now. Here's where we're getting into creek channel galore. We've marked the bends for you, and anywhere where we see like really sharp drops and stuff like that. So this bend has been marked. This bend's been marked as well. This is actually a creek channel swing, right? Because it's swinging up against basically the land right there, the point that's right there. So you guess you could say it's a swing. It doesn't come all the way up to the bank, but it comes up and it touches that area, and that's going to be a good spot. Down here, if you look where these two creeks meet, if I zoom this in, you're going to see it gets really healthy down here. I mean, you got some really sharp turns right here, so some really good places for them to stage up and set up at. And you've also got two major creeks coming in through this way. So they all intersect right here. So this whole area right in here should collect fish, collect bait fish, collect all kinds of stuff, which is going to obviously attract the bass. And then if you look over here on the left, you're going to see this little red dot. That's actually rocks. And we marked that on the Google Earth side. So if you're wondering why I didn't mark that spot or talk about this spot, it's because we had already marked it on the Google Earth spot. All right, so let's keep moving down here. We're just going to go down these creek channels. I'm just going to show you these two real quick. This is a really good bend. Look at this one, real sharp turn right in here. You could even check out over here too. This might all be washed kind of out underneath, but this could be a good spot. But I'd say looking right in here, I really like that. And I really like this area up here too. And notice those little blue things. Those are little humps. Those are little mini humps that are out here. So this thing's a foot higher than the rest of the top of this. But obviously it has this huge break on this side. So fishing in this side, fishing around where that creek channel is, that's going to put you in more of a higher percentage area. All right, so let's move on down. And again, if you see these points, I hear a lot of those we've already talked about. So I've left them off of here. But as we get back in here, we get in here where this pond is. And if you look right in here, you've got this nice, long, narrow point that comes out. It's about 14 foot deep, but just a really good looking point, and it backs up the back of that pond as well, just right off the edge, probably where that pond dam was. So right in here, definitely good area. It looks like you got some flooded timber back there as well, so that will definitely help you out. Then we're going to just look at this channel again, just a couple spots back in here. One's going to be this little bend right here, and the next one would be this bend, because this bend looks really good. It almost creates like a perfect pinch point right in there. Now that's some deep stuff. So if the water's at full pull, that could be, a little bit intimidating to go out there, but you got to go check it, because if there's stuff relating to this channel, which 90% of the times there are, you can really get into two really good packs of fish just paying attention and really focusing on those creek channels. All right, so let me see if there's anything else down here. I think there were a few. I'm going to pull back and kind of show you guys where I'm at. I've came around the side. Now I'm back in here. It's pretty shallow back in here. But there are some good things in here, like right here. You got the intersection going on that we talked about earlier, right in this area. You've also got our nice little ledge here. And if I zoom this in, you're going to see that there's another hump right here. So the hump is actually right on the edge of the creek channel swing, but it's got, the reason why I'm calling it a hump, it's almost like an underwater island, really, which I guess is a hump, same thing. I'm talking to myself here, but almost looks like you may have another creek channel that could come this way too, because it's 16 foot here, 21 foot here, and then get on this side, it's 25 foot. So I'd fish the break side, but I'd also be fishing the top of that hump as well, and definitely over here where this intersection is. All right, let's move back up. Right on up. We're going to move down. Sorry. We're going to move down on this side. I think we talked about that pond that was there. Yeah, so we talked about the pond. Where did the pond go? I got to find the pond. I've lost myself here. Creek channel. There's the pond. Right there. So let me show you guys back where I'm at. I'm right here. And that's kind of give you guys an idea of where I am. Okay, so off here, off of this point, we talked about those two little bins that were right in that area. I talked to you guys a little, I don't know if I talked about this, but we've already pointed this one out on Google Earth, but look at that one. I mean, you got the creek bed coming through there, plus you have the rocks on top. I mean, that just looks juicy, juicy, juicy. We're going to come back in here. We're going to look at some of this stuff. Now, this right in here, I think I should have moved my mark a little bit further over to that spot. It's more on this point. I mean, if you look at this point, it's got a creek bed here. It's got a creek bed here as well. So it's surrounding it. They could get up in here and spawn and stuff like that. And in the fall, they could push bait back up into these pockets, and they could set up here and just kind of, stage up, basically have a feeding frenzy up here. So that's going to be a good point to look at. I love how it sets up with the two creek beds. And then if we look further out here in the channel out here, this is where we get into those spots that we were talking about earlier where I got lost. So that's where the intersection is. So we're going to move on down, and we're going to stay on that west side. There's nothing else there. So let's switch over to this side. And now this, again, saw a lot of this in Google Earth, but these are mainly those bins, right? There's a good bin there. There's another good bin there. And then as we move up, we get into more bins that are up in here. So we've marked most of the good bins for you, especially if there's good breaks as well. Now, if you remember right on the Google Earth side, when we were talking about this on the Google Earth side, I'm having some issues with my phone here. On the Google Earth side, we were able to see this creek channel. So I've got that whole creek channel marked. So it should be beautiful because you're going to have the offshore stuff, and they're also going to be able to see exactly where that creek channel is. Now, the other thing too that I want to bring up was that railroad track. Remember when we were talking about the road beds and stuff like that, when we were going through the Google Earth side, and a lot of those road beds were washed away. Hopefully this railroad track's still there. If it is, obviously the culverts where the creeks are coming in are going to be hot spots, but those fish love to hang around that kind of stuff, those railroad tracks and stuff like that. So it might be worth your time if you're out here messing around the creek channel, just to come over here and just go, scan a couple 100 yards of it and just see if there's any life around it. And if there is, you may want to scan a couple more 100 yards because you're probably going to find them. So kind of following that railroad track up, the next spot's going to be this point that comes off. It's got an underwater point. It's got the railroad tracks that are out here, and it's got a really sharp point. Actually, if I come out here, you'll see it makes almost like a perfect point. So very interesting. Then we're going to come over here. I think the next thing is just this pond that's out here. That's definitely going to be a summertime thing. And in fact, I think we marked that one as well on the Google Earth side. And then I'm going to come down here by this bridge. We're going to go underneath the bridge, but obviously we talked about it, but fishing around this bridge is going to be good. You got these two little creek beds coming in here. They're merging and they're going straight underneath here. You got some good depth, good breaks, everything just looks good for that area. You may even come over here and look at this point right here. Nice flat top, has a semi little break. May not be anything there, but worth going and looking at. But let's move this down a little bit further to talk about this spot back here. Now, this spot back here basically is just another intersection, right? So you have a creek bed coming from here, probably a pond back there, it looks like. So there's a creek bed there, and then here's a major creek bed coming back from here. So this is the intersection. And remember, we always talk about, finding those intersections and at least going and looking at them because they can be good. Now, as we move back here, I don't think I had anything else. I had one more here. It's back here, just a little tiny hump. Now I wouldn't even call that offshore, but it is underwater, but it's like a 3 or 4 foot hump, so pretty small. Now, what you might want to do is check out this island. That creek bed, you actually have 2 different creek beds. You have a creek bed on this side of the island, so maybe fishing down in here, like on this corner, and fishing the saddle too could be good because you have the creek channel over here as well. Now, I think we actually talked about all of that on the other video, but I don't know if we were able to see it from this contour perspective, so I just wanted to point that out to you guys. So let's come back up, come out of that cove. We're going to move on up. Next thing we got up here are those ponds. I can't remember if we did those or not, but you have them marked there. There's actually 3 of them there. And then we're going to move on up. We're going to come out. And we'll just focus on these creek channel bends. I think I already showed some of these to you, so I don't want to confuse you too much, but just know we've got all of these marked on these little bends. Right here is a big bend. That's kind of a smaller bend. But if you zoom into that one, it's got a road bed that's right there on it. So that makes it even more interesting. The thing that makes me nervous about marking this roadbed, though, is based on what we saw on the Google Earth side, a lot of these roadbeds don't actually exist. So we'll keep going up. You want to follow that railroad track. Remember, look how good that railroad track just leads you to good stuff. Culverts, rocks, we talked about all that stuff. There's some more creek channel stuff. That's actually the creek channel stuff we talked about twice already, where it has the intersection, and then there's where the hump was, where the ledge was there. So now we're back up to getting closer towards the northern side of the lake. We got some more offshore stuff. Pretty nice little ledge that's created by this bend. If I zoom this back and get it just right, you can see it. The really sharp contours here. Slams right up against here right before it gets to those railroad tracks. So it could be good right in there, but then also you've got another intersection just right above it that you can look at. Moving on over here, I'm just going to take a look on this side. I don't know if there's anything we marked. Again, we marked a lot of this on the Google Earth stuff, but make sure to pay attention to some of these points, especially if we found rock on them. So, checking out this point right here, and even this one as well. I really like these 2. The 10 one I like the best, but 18-foot one looks pretty good as well. So don't forget about fishing those points. But again, the good news is we broke it down, so we should be able to tell you if there's rock on those points. If there's rock on the points, definitely fishing. If there's not rock, I'm not saying don't fish them, but it's just your percentages aren't as high. So we're going to go here again. All these bends, we've got to mark. Good ledges out here too. Nice little ledge right in there. Good bend, really good bend right in here. We've got a bend and a culvert going on over in that one with the road bed. So there's lots of juiciness going on there. I guess that's not a road bed, it's a railroad. But the railroad's connecting to it. Another intersection right here. A good pond that's up there as well. Just good offshore stuff to take a look at. Some more bends that are out here. We may have already talked about those. And then look at this point. This point's nice because that railroad track comes right up against the point. So, and that point's got a good little flat top on it. So juice for sure. Moving back in here, as we look at this little pocket, we're just really looking at that little break there. Notice how that break comes off pretty good. And then it's kind of hard to see it right here now, but you could see it earlier, but you got a nice little break that comes back in there. The other thing you may want to do is just come over here and look right here, right where this little ledge is. I'd almost move that. If I could right click and move it, I would. I may even move that point from there and move it more over here, because I think what's happening here is this creek bed's coming here and it's hitting right in here. And that's what's causing those contour lines to get all bundled up. And that's what I originally saw when I pulled this back right here. That's what you can kind of see going on right here. It's bundled up. Obviously, there's no creek channel, but it looks like you may have a little bit of a drop right in here. But actually, I like that one better. So if you're over fishing this point in Tonkawa Park, then you want to just come up here and just look right in that area and just see if you got anything relating to there. Then back in here by the bridge again. Obviously, there's some piles and stuff down here in the bridges. We probably exposed all of them, but look at this little spot right here. Nice little ledge going on, probably the back of a pond dam or something like that. That looks good. Definitely a good spot to go look at. And then too, when you're fishing around this island, don't forget about this railroad track. Again, if it still exists, uh, this could be juiced back here behind this island. Also, the other spot, which is already marked over here, would be this hump that comes out outside of the island. So you're on the island, but you're going to come out a little ways because you get out here on this hump. And now this hump sets up great. It's got a nice creek bed that runs really close to it. It comes up to 18 foot when the rest of the water looks like it's about 26 foot or so out there. So 26 and 29 foot. So you got a really good hump there to fish. And that's main lake hump. That's going to be good stuff. So we're gonna keep going. I know this was gonna be a little bit longer, but I want to go ahead and just finish this one in one video. The next one's gonna be this little point coming out right here. Obviously, that one just kind of sticks out, and you've got that creek bed that's fairly close to it. So that creek bed may run in a little bit closer, and that's what's causing that little point there. You've also got another little spot right over here. Good little, good little drop right here. I don't know what's going on here, but you've got almost like this little flat back here. So check this one out. I don't feel that confident about that one, but at least go check it out. We already talked about these spots out here, but fishing off these points, you may want to come out here as well. If you're really in the winter time or in the summertime when they've really gone deep, you may want to come out here instead of fishing off those spots that we talked about there and just getting way out here where these creek channels meet. Okay, so we're going to come up here. We're going to go over here. Let's see what marina this is. Wichita Falls Sailing. So we're going to come off of that a little bit west, and right there is where you got a really good point. Got a real good point, nice flat top, and then way off the edge, just right off the outside edge of that point. And then over here, we've got another point that comes out, but this one actually creates somewhat of a ledge. So you can see here, you've got a nice drop. It looks like you got flooded timber here too. So flat top, comes out, actually meets a creek bed out here. There's a lot of stuff that you could fish in here, but you could come up here, you could fish this little point here. You could even fish this here, see if there's any ledges here, come over here, fish all the flooded timber in here that's up on this flat, look around the ledge that's right there, then come out here once you're done there and fish around here, fish around where these creek beds meet and see if that creek bed kind of slams up against the edge of that point. And then last but not least, you could come over here because there's really another one over here that comes out pretty good. It's 8 foot right there. Kind of a decent little point there with a really good break off. And then finally come over here. Remember where I told you where the little turn-ins are can be good and fishing right in that area. So some good stuff just right there in that one spot. Coming up here, just an underwater hump. This one only comes up about 4 foot, but you never know. That could be a hard spot forcing that hump. So go scan over it. Look at this point here. This point's got really good contours on it. And then another decent little point that's out there as well that comes up really close to that creek bed. Then we're going to come over here, look at this pond dam. And right over here off the edge of this point, we're going to look at those points as well, right? So you're going to set your boat up here and cast across these points. Set them over here, cast across, just anywhere right in this area. And then we're going to move over to this next spot. That's up here. Wow. And really, we just got the creek channel marked. I believe there was a foundation or something like that. I can't remember what was there, but basically you have the creek channel there, and it's coming up and it's swinging somewhere up in here. So set here and cast more out this way and bring it back to your boat towards this. I think that's a power line or something like that, but cast towards that across that creek channel, and that should help you out. So that takes us all the way to the end. That covers us for all the offshore hotspots for Lake Arrowhead. Man, that thing looks pretty cool. Looks like you have a lot of opportunities out there to get offshore and try some stuff, fish around rocks, all that good stuff. Make sure to go out to our website, simplisticfishing.com. We've got all the waypoints that we talked about today, as well as all the waypoints from Google Earth. We've got them to where basically you can just put them on a card, put them in your graph, and then all the waypoints are there. You have the lake broke down right there for you as soon as you hit the water. We can also send you the SD card as well. So go check us out, simplisticfishing.com, and don't forget to check out our primary sponsor, Omnia Fishing. I've got the link in the description below. Until next time, gents, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.